Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating where we get to the bottom of why people do the things they do when it comes to dating. We want to know the why. This has been a great first week of, I think reopening. I feel like everyone's out and about now.
Yeah, but it's ironic because we're hitting literally a year mark from when this all started. So happy 2-week anniversary / 1 year of what we are. You remember those days when everyone's like, oh, this will be done in 2 weeks?
Oh, I never said that. I never said that. I was like, this is going to be 6 to 8 months. That was my guess.
Yeah, you did. And I was like, don't say that. That's depressing. But here we are. But no, it's definitely like a different vibe for sure. Like, I feel like last weekend, I kind of almost like felt like it was like a similar vibe going out wise to pre-COVID days. Yes, people were like out, but it felt just like much more congested and like the bar scene was like kind of crazy. And I'm like, I actually kind of liked life in COVID. I mean, obviously I don't want the disease and all that and the fear of going out. But I think for me, I realized that I hit I kind of realized this pre-COVID that I kind of outgrew some of the party life that I once did. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's a weird place because I'm like single, but don't want to be doing single type behaviors kind of. But also, I recognize, it's I don't know, there was actually this quote I found and put it on Instagram, and I'm like, this sums up exactly how I feel so much. I'm going to pull it up for a second. In case people aren't following us, this is your reminder. But it was, I don't miss bars, but I do miss going somewhere with the potential to meet someone. No, I actually never met anyone, but still. I'm like, that sums it up. Because it's in your mind, you're like, if I'm sitting at home watching Netflix, I can't meet anyone. But then when you're there, do you actually meet anyone? But anyways. I
think what people do like about going out is always the possibility of meeting someone.
Totally.
Because you never know. And it gives you this false sense of abundance. There's a lot of options out there because you see them out and about. But the success rate is pretty damn low, at least in my book. It was pretty damn low.
I mean, I've taken inventory of past boyfriends, and I mean, I have met people through friends of friends, at bars. So I do think there is a viable path that way. But I cannot recall since college, or right after college, a time where someone random came up to me in the bar and it became something. I can literally count on my hands the times that's happened to me.
Yeah, I mean, nothing more than a casual makeout.
Yeah. That's actually a good segue to our episode this week, because this episode we talked to Yue's friend, so I want you to give people the backstory a little too on here. But what part of it was this whole thing, just the evolution of your own self too. He started off, I think you would describe as more of a player type, fuckboy maybe is the term now, someone that's just not really, you don't see as commitment oriented, but now he's married. So there was obviously an evolution that happened. And I think one of the questions we pose on this episode, or just in general, that's comes up all the time is is it the right person or the right time that kind of switches that for people?
He is the anomaly that we've always wanted to understand, right? He is the guy that I've known Jesse ever since he just graduated from college. So ever since he was just entering into his adult world. And I'm good friends with his older sister. And I remember just thinking, this kid, at the time, he was just a kid, this kid is going to be trouble, because he was hitting on all of her friends, he has so much confidence, no qualms about approaching women. And a few years later, my friend was like, oh, Jesse's doing really well. He moved to San Francisco, very successful, and really just loving the nightlife there. And I remember telling our Julie about, because his sister's name is Julie too. I remember telling you, Julie, about him, and I was like, this guy is trouble. I knew he was going to be trouble. He wasn't even the type of player who would try to trick you into a relationship and then say peace out. He was just so honest. Like, listen, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm looking for fun. And girls just flock to him, even though he was so non-committal. And every time I met up with him, he would be with a different girl who was just swooning over him, obsessed with him, trying to change him. And he was just so honest. Like, listen, I'm not trying to get tied down. And then I finally had to text our Julie, and I was like, Julie, I have some news. Jesse's engaged. How is this possible?
I know. I don't know Jesse. I met him once in one of your dance classes, but I remember like all these years you would always like use him as like the example of like, you know, like that guy that got tons of girls but like didn't want to settle down. So when you did tell me, I was like, oh, interesting. Like, yeah, just, you know, things do shift for people. And I think that actually is an interesting moment because, like, I don't know about you, Yue, but I can actually pinpoint the time that it did shift for me when I went from not wanting a relationship to wanting a relationship. And I mean, to the question, is it like the right time or the right person? Like, obviously, listen to this episode, but Jesse's future wife, they did meet in this stage. So I think there is kind of an element of both. Like, I think it definitely was her that pushed him to change, but I also think that like you could point and say like, well, he met her years ago. So obviously some of it was the place of where he was. And I think travel, like we talk about this on the episode, like he did take this time to travel. And I think that does change people a lot. And it, like, I know I have like a good friend that took time abroad and came back and was like, okay, I'm ready for like a serious relationship now. And I think sometimes like when you get stuff out of your system, that's like when things change for you. Like, I know for me, when I first moved to SF, like I had zero desire to be in a relationship. Like, honestly, like I mean, I hooked up with people. I would like go out. Like I had friends with benefits. Like I had this guy actually from my high school, which was super ironic, but it was like just what I needed when I moved across the country. Because it was kind of like a reminder of home that was like not committal at all. But I wasn't looking for that. Like I wanted to just like, you know, build a life for myself, make friends, go out. And then I'd like hit him up at 2 a.m. and I was totally fine with it. And then one person did shift me. And honestly, it wasn't someone that I did date him for a bit, but it wasn't like a serious relationship. But I think some of it was like, I was more settled in my life at that stage when I did have that shift. And I remember just like cuddling with him. Like this was like someone that was more like a casual relationship with. And I remember like cuddling and being like, oh, I actually like this and I like want this. And that like definitely propelled me to like use like Match.com back in the day and like really, you know, start to actually date like an adult.
Interesting. I've pondered this question for so long now because I really feel like my boyfriend right now is so similar to my boyfriend at 25 who proposed to me. So I kind of went full circle, but when I was 25, I didn't appreciate all the qualities that he offered. Also, I kept thinking, what else is out there? I'm only 25. I'm about to settle down with this guy. And that's why when he proposed to me, I had that very visceral reaction of, no, I'm not settling down yet. But I think once I got to a point where I felt like I had seen things and I had done things, I was ready for something more consistent. Then the right person came along after the timing piece was set into place. So to me, it felt like timing came first and then the person.
Yeah, well, I actually found this, like, ironically, you know how I just love to use, like, TikTok in my spare time. It's like,
oh my God,
passively,
Julie's all about the TikTok.
You know, like, I've literally never, like, I've posted, like, once or twice on our Dateable account, but I'm not, like, someone that goes out and makes TikToks, but I just, like, it's one of those, like, weird single behaviors that I, like, do in my spare time when I'm bored. I'm just like, what are these people doing out there?
You are TikTok's ideal customer. Seriously.
I really am.
You're like, you're always on it. You share it. You're not trying to get famous on TikTok. Nope. You purely use it as an entertainment platform. It's fascinating to me.
Actually thinking about this is a little bit of a tangent, but do you remember that Sex of the City episode when like Carrie's moving in with Aiden and she's like, oh my God, now I have to cover up my like weird single behavior.
Oh, but yes.
And I don't know, have you ever like felt that way with your current boyfriend? But I was like thinking about like the weird shit I do alone. And I'm like, definitely endlessly like scrolling TikToks and just like laughing to myself is pretty kind of fucking weird. Like, I mean, maybe if like I was with someone and we could do it together, it wouldn't be as weird. But that, and just, I also have like a total LaCroix
obsession,
like addiction, I want to say. Like, because I like used to drink Diet Coke and I phased that out completely, which is great.
That's good, yeah.
But now I replace it with like bubbly water. But the thing is, like, I will like forget to finish it and then it will like get flat. So I'll like have another one. So I'm just like constantly going through them. Actually, maybe this isn't weird single behavior because like I remember like when my ex was like quarantining with me, he's like, "Oh, I don't think we have enough LaCroix here. Like we're not going to survive. We're not going to survive this quarantine." So, but anyways, I think those LaCroix. Are my two.
You're so basic, Julie. You're
I know.
So basic.
I know. I'm like saying it out loud. I'm like, wow, I sound fucking basic. Like, I guess I don't have that weird a behavior. Did you have anything that you like were like, I can't do this now?
I mean, the only thing that I've been called out on is I love to drink out of different glasses and then leave them on. Just leave stuff in there still. Like I can never finish a glass of water or a glass of wine. I just always leave a little bit something at the bottom. And it comes from this really strange, childish behavior where I used to think like there are bugs at the bottom of my glass. So I would never drink the bottom of it. I think it's because I found a bug once when I was like 6. And ever since then, I will never drink the bottom of a glass. So I just leave shit around, and my boyfriend's always like, "Do you have enough glasses? Like, are you gonna drink? Are you gonna finish any of them?" But I've been called out on that before too by my mother, so I am aware.
My mother also calls me out on the unfinished LaCroix. So similar, but
oh, you don't finish the LaCroix?
No, I don't. That's the problem. I don't finish it, and then it gets flat, so I open another one, and it's just
you're a LaCroix waster.
I am. That's why I go through them so much. But anyways. Very tangent, but on my, wake up and look at TikTok, I actually saw something from Matthew Hussey that I thought was like actually so relevant to this episode. I'm like, he like read my mind that we're about to do this intro. But he had a video that said, basically he had this quote that was, "The right person is both right and ready. He doesn't believe in the one, but that people can become the one when it's become the one who is right for you." So he's basically like saying, like, when you have this, like, is it the wrong person, a right person, wrong time conversation, like they're essentially never going to be the right person because you need to be right and ready. So I've definitely fallen victim to that I'm like, oh, it's the right person, but we're just like not in the right time. I mean, I've obviously tried to restart things with it, my most serious ex multiple times because of that. And I think like it's finally taken me to realize like it's never going to be the right person. Like the timing doesn't ever seem to resolve the stuff. So yeah, I think with this, like this episode, like I think there's definitely an element of right person and right time.
There is something that I've been talking to some of my coworkers about recently is this mentality of when other things in your life are not going as planned, you take it out on the thing that is going well. So even when you meet the right person and you do want to be with them, if other things in your life are not going the way that you really wanted them to go, you will sabotage that relationship because it's the one thing that is going well and you feel like you can take it out on them. So I do think the timing also comes from you feeling really good about where your life is today, and then you're able to foster a much healthier relationship.
Oh, 100%, like 100%. Like I know for myself personally, but then also like the examples of my ex that was right, I guess right person, wrong time, but maybe wrong person overall, if you're going to look at it that way. It had nothing to do with our relationship, all of it. Like it was his own personal stuff. And like, obviously I'm not going to go into what that was, but like I do now for me, when I'm looking for a partner, someone that is happy in their current life is like a huge thing I'm looking for. Like, I think it's like, it's the balance of you're happy in your current life, but you're willing to make room for someone. And that actually is a hard balance to find. And I've been noticing it a lot during this quarantine. Like, I don't know why I keep saying quarantine. Like, we're not even in quarantine anymore. I guess like this entire 2021, like I have like no perception of like time anymore. But like this whole lockdown, life isn't as normal time, I guess I'll call it that. I think there's a lot of people using dating apps that are bored and like feel unfulfilled and like are using it to fill time. And I think for me, I'm like, I don't want to be with that person. Like, I want to be with the person that's like, likes their life as it is, like has a great like base of like friends and family and support outside of romantic, but they also want to make room for that romantic person, because I've also come across the people who are just too damn busy, and like that doesn't work either.
Yeah, you almost want the person. I mean, I wouldn't say you want the person. You should be the person who's not trying to fill a void or looking for someone to come into your life to make things better. You should be in a place where you are feeling so good about things that you want to share these things with someone. And I think I found personally for myself, when I really want to share memories and experiences with someone, that's when I really meet someone special.
Totally. So, yeah, I mean, I guess like we could debate the right person, right time all day long, but I'm going to go in now with this mindset of the right person is also the right time.
I like that. It's a good discussion to have because it makes you take inventory of your previous relationships. How did you get them? What were you doing? What was your life like at the time that you were in that relationship? It's a good way to kind of analyze like your behavior patterns, I guess.
Yeah. And I think like also like this episode, like, I mean, Jesse's definitely like that quintessential person that like did not give dating that much thought.
Right.
Like he definitely was intentional about the way he approached Cassie, his now wife, for sure. But he was not like intentional about like going on dates to find a relationship or to find marriage. And I thought his perspective was actually really good, because I think there are a lot of, I mean, I think there's multiple, varieties of men and women. So this is like overgeneralizing. But I do think there are kind of two core people. There's like the people that like fall into relationships when it is the right time for them. And then there's the people that are like so proactively looking for relationships. And I remember like when I was like in the super serial dating phase, like one of my friends was like, I think you're just like trying too hard. Like you need to just like let things happen. And I was like so infuriated at the time, because I'm like, oh, like that's like not what you want to hear. But I do think it's kind of like, it is a balance in a way. It's like you need to, it's like kind of like what you're saying, the balance of being open, but not so open that you're like, don't have a life. It's kind of the same situation. It's like, you need to be open, but not like if your entire life revolves around dating, like people are going to see that.
There is a point in this interview with Jesse where we say, you broke all the dating rules. And he's like, I did? He had no idea. He's just like, I had no idea there were even dating rules. I really love this episode because he wrote his own rules. He wrote his own way of dating. And he comes, like you were saying, Julie, like there's no preconceived notions about dating. He basically was like, I'm not going to get married until proven otherwise. And then he got proven otherwise. So it's a great conversation. He is the guy I wish I would have known when I was going through that serial dating loop and trying to get out. I wish I had heard this story then, because I think it would have made me feel a lot better about taking things not so personally.
For sure. Cool. So should we do a quick announcements this week?
Yeah.
Just quick announcements. We have a live stream this Thursday, so definitely check it out. This is available for all our community members in the Love in the Time of Corona group. So definitely it's going to be at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. EST, just for half an hour. It's a quick check-in. It's a really great way to just like kind of live chat with all your community members. People have said it's like the chat on steroids before, so it's always like a really fun time. So that's one announcement. The other announcements that we have quickly is that we recently dropped a new audio in our series for the sounding board, all about managing setbacks, which I feel like is actually, like, we didn't even plan it this way, but I feel like it's the perfect follow-on for Janice's episode last week of dating trauma, which got an overwhelming response.
Hell yeah.
So if you haven't listened to that one, definitely get on that. And then also in the sounding board, just two other things that are coming up. We have Logan. Yuri is actually going to be gracing us with her presence in the book club. We do a book club every month, and usually we don't have the authors come to the book club. It's Gisela, one of our hosts in the sounding board. She wanted to do a book club, so we kind of put her in charge of the book club. But this month, she'll actually be joined with Logan herself. So if you've read How to Not Die Alone by Logan Yuri, we had her on the podcast a couple episodes, and you're in the sounding board, awesome. Definitely check that out next Thursday, or this coming Thursday after the live stream. And if you're not in the sounding board yet, you can go to dateablepodcast.com/sounding board. Definitely want to check it out because we also have Ken Page, who is one of our crowd favorites, coming to the Dateable after show. So yeah, you can get all the information there. You've probably heard us talk about the sounding board many times, but if you're new, definitely go to the website and check it out. And if you've been on the edge, maybe this is the time. There's a lot of good stuff coming up.
I understand that if you're new coming into our podcast, this is all really overwhelming. Like, what's the sounding board? Who's Ken Page? Why should I not die alone? I think it's it's a good time to acknowledge, like, first of all, thank you so much for being a new listener. We always love having new listeners to keep us in check too, right? To keep our perspective fresh. And if you have any questions about any of these offerings, feel free to DM us. We can be found on Facebook. You can just DM us through the Facebook app, or you can find us on Instagram and you can DM us there. We actually check all of the messages. And if you have any questions regarding anything that we do, that is the place to do it.
Okay, so shall we get to Jesse and Cassie's story? I know you're all waiting for it.
Can't wait. Let's go.